and welcome to Volt's Vision Therapy. Today we'll be demonstrating a technique useful for patients with binocular vision problems. Our first technique is Aperture rule. This technique is for higher level fusion to further develop junctions. The equipment that you will need for Aperture rule are these two aperture rules, one for base out, this has one septum, and this one for base in, which has two septums. The septums are placed on the aperture rule starting at 0. The aperture rule has different numbers, and as you flip certain cards, you move the aperture along. So we're going to start here and move it towards the patient. The different cards demonstrate where the aperture should be. For example, this card says to have the aperture placed at 0, and as you continue, the aperture moves towards the patient. All right, let's get started with our first patient. This is our first patient, Brianne. Brianne has been in vision therapy for over a month now, and she's doing well. She was originally diagnosed with a CI. Today we're going to be doing aperture rule to further her convergence techniques. So Brianne, I'd like you to go ahead and sit up straight, have good posture. When we're doing base out and helping the patient converge, it's helpful to place the aperture at a down angle versus having it straight like this. So we'll place this like there, and she's going to have, Brianne's demonstrating the correct way of having her nose right at the beginning of the aperture. We're just going to start at 0. So we start with our first card. All right, Brianne, I want you to look at the card through the opening. Try to bring the two pictures together to form one.
Yes.
Let me know when you have it.
I have one.
Okay, do you see one clock with the circles underneath of them?
Yes, I do.
And you see one plus sign above the circles?
Yep.
And how about a dot below the circles?
Yes, it's there.
Okay, good. Let's go ahead and move forward. For example, now we have two basketball players. On the card, you'll see that this is placed at slider number 5. So let's say Brianne has continued and reached this card. The aperture is now at position number 5. Brianne, are you able to get this image to become one?
This one is a little bit harder. Yep, and now I think I have it.
Okay, you see one, the plus and the dot, one above and one below the circles?
Yes, I do.
Good. Let's try a harder card. This one now has the aperture being placed at position 6. Do you see one image here?
It's a little tricky. Sometimes I see one, sometimes I see 2.
Okay, I'm going to give you a technique that can be helpful for convergence insufficiency patients, or helpful in the base out technique is using a pointer. Brianne, I'm going to have you hold this pointer for me.
Okay.
And we're going to use it. I want you to go ahead and look at that pointer behind the aperture.
All right.
When you look at the pointer, are you able to see in the background the boats becoming one?
Yes, now I got it.
Good. And that is how we complete the base out technique. Thank you, Brianne.
Thank you, Dr. Volz.
All right, now we'll be demonstrating the base in technique. This is our patient Drake. He is a basic ESO patient and has had complaints of eye strain. He's been in vision therapy for 2 months. For this, we're going to use the two septum aperture rule. Again, starting at 0. We're going to make sure that Drake has good posture again. So Drake, for this one, we're actually not going to have it slanted down. That makes it easier to converge. But since Drake is working on divergence, Drake, is it possible for you to move your chair down?
This is as low as it goes, I think.
Okay, so this technique you might want to add some books or something to make it so that it's comfortable for the height of the patient. All right, Drake. So we're going to start at card 0. Again, it has the aperture placed at 1 and 2 here. Drake, I want you to look through the aperture rule. Are you able to see one clock?
No, I see 2 clocks.
You see 2 clocks. Okay, I want you to try and relax your eyes. Take a big deep breath. Do you still see 2 clocks?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to pretend like we have a window here in front of us. I want you to pretend like you're looking through the window, beyond the card here, through the window and behind you. When you do that, can you see 1 clock or 2 clocks?
I kind of see 1 briefly, and then it goes back to 2.
And then it goes back to 2.
Yeah. Oh, now I see 1.
Now
There's
you
1.
see 1?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Go ahead and look away, look through that window. We're going to go to the next card, keeping the aperture at 1 and 2. Are you able to see the parrots here?
Yes.
Good.
I see 1.
Very good. All right. We'll make it a little bit more difficult. Normally in a therapy session, you would go 1 card at a time. But for our teaching reference here, we'll be at card number 6 with the aperture being placed at 6. So again, we'll move the aperture towards the patient, up to number 6. Drake, looking through here, are you able to see 1 sailboat or 2 sailboats?
2.
2 sailboats. And even looking through the window here, are you able to see 1 or 2?
2.
Okay, you can sit back. This therapy technique is very difficult. It is for advanced vision therapy patients. You should know that the norms for this technique is that base out should be at reach card 12 and base in should reach 7. You should give support to your patients throughout this technique. Telling your patient to relax or to just tighten their eyes doesn't always work. You might have to provide suppression checks or controls, fixation targets, or allowing them to look at different distances.
So as demonstrated, the aperture ruler is a great technique for vision therapy for training both convergence and divergence. Once your patient has reached the appropriate endpoints, there are great ways to enhance the activity. Some of the things you can do are using multiple aperture rulers at one time, seeing if your patient can jump back and forth. You can also use additional lenses in order to increase the demand of activity following the bim-bop technique. You can also have your patient get out of the seated position and stand. They can stand either on flat ground or on a balance board to increase the difficulty of the activity.
So when you're done with the aperture rule, you want to make sure that you're recording the procedure properly in your chart. The first thing you want to do is make sure you record the last card that the patient was able to get to, both base in and base out. You also want to ensure that you record what RX the patient was wearing, especially if they're wearing a near RX, and record any undue difficulties they were having if they couldn't fuse the base in or the base out, if they needed to pass the card on base in, and anything like that. You just want to make sure it's in your chart.